Lesson 3. Appearance. My best friend Joanna is absolutely gorgeous, extremely beautiful. She has long, sleek, jet black hair. Sleek means smooth and straight, and jet black means perfectly black. Pale blue eyes. Pale refers to a light color. And a radiant complexion, skin that appears healthy and full of energy. People always compliment her on her hourglass figure, when a woman has large breasts and hips but a small waist, and ask her what the secret is to maintaining such a slender waist. That means a thin waist. She has a round face with an upturned nose, and she actually bears a striking resemblance, looks extremely similar to a famous singer. Joanna could get any guy she wanted, so I was really surprised when she introduced me to her latest boyfriend, who I think is hideously ugly. He has curly, shoulder-length hair that looks rather unkempt. Unkempt hair means messy hair. It appears that the person doesn't take care of their hair. He has a square face and a ruddy complexion, reddish skin. His deep-set eyes that are far back in the person's face, are almost hidden under his bushy eyebrows, big eyebrows with lots of hair, and he sports a thick mustache and a huge shaggy beard, a beard with lots of hair. I guess Joanna doesn't mind his facial hair. Facial hair refers to a man's beard and/or mustache. His body isn't bad. He has an athletic build, a body with a lot of muscles, with broad shoulders, wide shoulders, and muscular arms. If he would only trim his beard, cut his beard a little shorter, and comb his hair, I suppose he could be considered somewhat attractive, more or less beautiful or handsome. Lesson 4. Character and Behavior. When I was a teenager, I was painfully shy, extremely shy. I loved reading books, and I had a vivid imagination. I had a creative and colorful imagination. My best friend had a more outgoing personality. She liked to be friendly and sociable, and a good sense of humor, ability to make other people laugh. Unfortunately, she was also brutally honest, and sometimes her comments hurt my feelings, made me sad, upset, or angry. Although I was fiercely loyal to her, she showed her true colors, revealed her true personality, when she played a prank, did a trick, that humiliated me in front of the class. I bore a grudge, continued feeling angry against her for years afterwards. Now that I look back on it, I can see that she had low self-esteem. She considered herself inferior, and a bit of a mean streak. A streak is a tiny bit of someone's personality. I've come out of my shell, become less shy, since those days. I have a thicker skin. I'm less sensitive to criticism, and it doesn't bother me when people speak their minds, say exactly what they think without considering the effects of the words on others. My biggest flaw is that I have a tendency to be arrogant. Some say I have a superiority complex, consider myself superior to others. I'll admit that it is hard for me to swallow my pride, stop being arrogant, and recognize when I've been mistaken about something. My resolution for the new year is to make a more concerted effort to put others first, consider the needs of other people more important than my own.
I experienced a roller coaster of emotions when my son was born. Many different emotions, one after another. During my wife's pregnancy, I was ridiculously excited about the prospect of becoming a dad. On the big day, I'd imagined that everything would go smoothly and we'd be blissfully happy, but there were complications during the delivery, and my wife had to have emergency surgery while I waited in the reception area, worried sick. Very worried. As time went by, I got increasingly anxious because the doctors weren't telling me anything. After 2 hours, I was seething with anger, ready to explode with anger. And I shouted at one of the nurses. Then the security guards came and escorted me out of the hospital. My wife was visibly disappointed. It was obvious that she was disappointed, that I wasn't by her side when she woke up from surgery. She didn't say anything. She's not really one to show her feelings. She prefers to bottle up her emotions, keep her emotions hidden inside her. But I knew I had let her down, and I was terribly sorry that I had lost my temper, lost control, and shown anger. The months that followed were tough. My wife became deeply depressed, and I too was an emotional wreck, a person who is very sad, confused, and upset, as I tried to juggle the demands of work and family life. But now things are starting to turn around. I've been pleasantly surprised at all the help we've gotten from our friends and neighbors. I'm just immensely grateful that my wife and son are healthy, and sometimes I'm overwhelmed with emotion as I reflect on how lucky we are, when emotion is so strong that it's difficult to think or speak.
Now listen. Lesson 6. Houses and Apartments. I recently spent a month on vacation, but instead of staying in a hotel, I looked for a short-term rental, a place to live that can be rented for a short period of time. I ended up sharing a 2-bedroom apartment. That's an apartment with 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a kitchen, with some friends. It was actually cheaper than renting a studio apartment, an apartment with only 1 big room, all by myself. The apartment was on the top floor of a 5-story building. That's a building with 5 floors. And it had a balcony overlooking the ocean. That means you can see the ocean from the balcony. From the roof, we also had a nice view of the city skyline. This is another expression used when you can see something from a certain place. The apartment had recently been remodeled or renovated, meaning it was fixed up and improved, and was fully furnished, so it already had furniture, beds, tables, etc., and appliances, refrigerator, stove, etc. We loved the spacious living room. The room was big, but unfortunately the bedrooms were rather cramped, small, and uncomfortable. It was nice to spend a month there, but by the end of the trip I started to feel homesick. That's when you feel sad because you miss your life at home. I'd really like to have a place of my own so that I'm not throwing away money on rent every month, but there's a real shortage of affordable housing, houses or apartments that are reasonably priced, in my city. Even if I stay away from the upscale neighborhoods, areas where rich people live, I'd still have to take out a mortgage, borrow money from the bank in order to buy a house, and it will take me more than 30 years to pay it off. But still, I'm going to start saving up for a down payment, an initial payment on a big purchase. Someday, when I do move into a new place, I'll be sure to throw a housewarming party, a party to celebrate living in a new house or apartment.